I'm going to reconvene this meeting back to regular session. If you would, please rise for the invocation and pledge. Dr. Warren.
All right. If you wish to do so, bow with me, please. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity, Lord. We sincerely thank you for the opportunity just to be a part of this wonderful school district. Lord, we ask you to be with our school board members tonight, our administrators, really all of us, Lord, just provide us your wisdom. And Lord, above all else, please make sure you provide your love, your guidance, and your protection to our children. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right. Eaton tennis. Come on. All right. Riley, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Riley King. I'm the captain of the Eaton varsity team. I really enjoy history, and I really enjoy my school.
And we're really glad you're here, Riley. Thank you. Good job. Say that part again about the school.
I really enjoy my school.
Good job. All right. Washington Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan Washington. I really enjoy history and science, my favorite subjects, and I also love tennis and orchestra.
And what do you play in orchestra?
I play the viola.
Very good. Good job, Morgan.
Thank you.
And Morgan Geoke.
Hi, I'm Morgan Geoke. I enjoy history and I like to play tennis too.
And nothing else, Morgan?
Nope.
Okay. And Joseph.
I'm Joseph Egg. I like playing tennis and playing in orchestra, and I also like school, I guess. Yeah. I like history as well. Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate you being here. You're very proud Eaton Eagles, and we're looking forward to see you play tennis. We got parents here. Parents, wave. Thank you for being here as well. Thank you for bringing them up. Appreciate it. All right. Let's say the pledges.
Now for our United States pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Outstanding job. Thank you. Wait. We've got a little gift. Thank y'all. Okay. Have a good week.
We're still working in our superintendent. Moving now to item number 5, recognitions. Dr. Warren.
Board, Emily has some very good recognitions to do tonight, and we're very proud to have our partners here as well.
That's right.
Please.
Good evening. At this time, I would like to ask Superintendent Dr. Warren and Board President Mark Schluter to come down to the front for our recognitions. This evening, I am very proud to recognize the NISD Communications Department for receiving 2 national awards from the National School Public Relations Association's Publications and Electronic Media Contest. First, I would like to ask Communications and Multimedia Specialist Rachel Bobbitt to come to the front. Rachel received an honorable mention for the On the Grow video production. This video series showcased Northwest ISD's fast growth, as well as shares information about bond campaigns and construction updates. Additionally, I would like to ask Communications and Community Engagement Coordinator Jerry Cantu, Partners in Education Specialist Phil Beckman, Communications and Web Specialist Melissa Shawn to come to the front as well. The entire team received an honorable mention for the I Love NISD social media campaign. Last year, Northwest ISD implemented a communication plan to unite families, the district's 14 communities, and staff to share why they love NISD. Through the social media campaign, the department was able to raise awareness about Northwest ISD and share what makes NISD unique and innovative. The team did this using a variety of communication channels through electronic newsletters, printed publications, videos, and social media campaigns. NISD's communication efforts were recognized for more than 960 entries across the nation. I'm going to jump in for a picture with you. Okay, at this time, Jerry Cantu will recognize our new partners in education.
Thank you, Emily. The Northwest ISD Partners in Education program creates school support opportunities for parents, businesses, and community members to enhance the learning environment within our classrooms and on campuses. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome some of our new partners to the PI program. First, I'd like to ask Dr. Bill Shattuck, if you would please join us at the front, as well as Phil Beckman, our Partners in Education Specialist. Dr. Shattuck represents Radiant Dental Care. Radiant Dental Care is the newest full-service dental office to join the Hazlitt community. Dr. Shattuck founded Radiant Dental Care on 3 core principles: compassion, education, and comprehensive patient care. Although his practice has only been open a few months, he has already established relationships with Thompson Elementary and Eaton High School. We'd like to welcome Radiant Dental Care as the newest partner in education. Thank you. Next, Mr. Steve Becking, if you would, please join our group at the front. And also, I'd like to ask Executive Director of CTE and Post-Secondary Readiness, Celine Braswell. Northwest ISD would like to welcome Hillwood Properties as our newest corporate partner. Hillwood Properties has been a moving force within the Alliance Corridor for many years. On top of supporting our NISD academies, Hillwood Properties partners with Northwest ISD on the Alliance Air Show, our Night of No Limits, and the upcoming Reindeer Romp to be held at Alliance Airport. Representing Hillwood Properties tonight is Vice President Steve Becking. We'd like to thank all of our businesses for joining us tonight, and welcome to our Partners in Education program. Thank you.
This concludes our recognition this evening. Thank you.
Moving down to item number 6, public participation. Is there any? There is none tonight. Item number 7, consent agenda. Board members.
Mr. President.
Mr. Fuller.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
A motion has been made by Mr. Fuller, seconded by Ms. Holland, to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Simpson is not present with us this evening. Moving down to item number 8. Discussion action items. A is consideration, possible endorsement of a nominated individual for the TASB Board of Directors from TASB Region 11, Position A.
Mr. President.
Mr. Fuller.
I would like to endorse Bobby Griggs from Aledo ISD to fill the position for Board of Directors, TASB Region 11, Position A. What Bobby has done has been incredible from a grassroots effort to get school boards and businesses and everyone else involved. So I'd be happy to endorse and move that action.
A motion has been made by Mr. Fuller, seconded by Mrs. Roush. Is there any further discussion or other nominations? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Under item B, the 2016-2017 Campus Improvement Goals and Objectives. Dr. Warren.
Team, on page 121 in your packet is Dr. Thornell's memo to you concerning this. He and the CNI staff, especially our building principals, have done a really good job working on their plans. And I believe the story is the plans have even the timelines have been moved up just to make sure that we're supporting our campuses as we should right here at the beginning of the school year. So, Dr. Thornell, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm excited to share with you a little bit about the process the campuses have gone through today to do the campus improvement plans. Again, this is right now a discussion item, and we'll bring it back for approval in 2 weeks. Just want to start by sharing with you some of the things that happen when we go through a campus improvement plan. Most of our campuses started this process back in the spring, looking at everything there is that they needed to do and wanted to improve, and the results that they had to that point. And so they go through a comprehensive needs assessment, and our plan for learning software that we use takes them through, I think the actual question is 109 questions. And I don't have to answer every single one of them. A lot of them are reflective questions and questions, food for thought, if you will. So they do that. The other thing, and you're familiar with this language from previous years, but we ask our campuses to identify what we call a problem of practice or instructional focus. Based on that needs assessment. So once they identify what some of their needs are, they go about setting forth a plan to improve upon that problem. We also make sure they're required to align to the district goals and objectives, and they are a continual plan for improvement. So a lot of times you'll see things carried over from each year, and the campuses work on something for more than 1 year. Lots of times, sort of like in the district improvement plan, we're still working on early literacy and advanced academics. It's not a 1-year goal. So there are some basic legal requirements that go into a campus improvement plan. We have to do one annually, first of all, as you remember. And the purpose is to improve student performance. It's not necessarily, although there's many other variables that go with improving a campus, the CIP is very much focused on improving student performance in a variety of ways. And so it also, as we said before, supports the objectives of the district improvement plan. So that's one reason when we brought the district improvement plan forward in June, that the campuses were able to use that and they know what the district is working on, and they align their activities and goals to that. So again, about the comprehensive needs assessment, this is what it includes: academic excellence indicators, other information and performance about different groups within campus, such as ethnicity, social, economic status. And the campus really goes through, how are we serving all of our kids? And this is where the uniqueness comes in, I believe. Our campuses, as you'll see on their plans, they attack these problems differently. They have different demographics, and there is a lot of autonomy within their plans on how they address their needs. Some of the requirements: they have to have performance objectives. We have summative evaluations. They have strategies for improvement. We also, you'll see on their plans, the staff that is responsible for each strategy and the timelines. And you'll notice last year when we moved to Plan for Learning, there are 4 specific times during the school year in which you get reports on our campus improvement plan. I think it starts towards the end of October, 1st of November, then January, then April, and then finally at the end of the year. And so there are 4 times that they complete those and let us know how they're doing. Some special planning requirements that do include some federal programs, including AYP, Nickleby, and our title campuses have some specific indicators that they have to work through. Our Student Services Department is very supportive and helps them with that. Dr. Alexander reviews the CIPs along with myself and Dr. Griffin and Dr. Ferris. Special education has to be addressed, and our compensatory education funds, the way we use those. So all those are there. So again, you're familiar with Plan for Learning is the software that we use, and you'll be able to find them on that screen. One of the things we try to say is this is a theory in action, not a theory of action, and so they are moving documents. The format looks a lot like this, and if you were to pull it up and print out each campus, there's a strategy description, the staff responsible, as I described before, and then the evidence that demonstrates success, and then again to the far right are the formative reviews. And this is just two examples. I'm sorry. Go back real quick. So you can see the goal, number one, Northwest ISD will design dynamic learning experiences to ensure that all students are future-ready learners. That's one of our district goals, familiar, and so the strategies under that will align with our district goal. But again, each campus has autonomy on how they attack those goals. The second goal that we ask them to align to is to recruit, develop, and retain and recognize exceptional, highly motivated staff. Because that's very important that we have the best teachers in front of our kids and that we're working to build their capacity to improve it. So we ask them to have goals on both of those. I want to just address real quick kind of the main focus of each campus's CIP, and that's the problem of practice. And we think this quote is extremely important, but it's that everybody on the campus is working towards the same goal. Everyone's involved, everyone's obliged to be knowledgeable about it, and everyone's practice should improve. And so that's how we work together. Their template for that looks a lot like this. And we started with a statement of, after investigating district data, reflecting on district practices, and examining our district aspirations, our CIA focus will be. And they create a problem of practice in their theories and their strategies and their evidence. And so what you'll see is that is their main, each campus picks a main thing that they're going to work on each year. And hopefully, our CIPs lead to improved student achievement. So that's what they are about. That is a little bit about the process. I believe that you have a link and access to see each different individual campuses. Traditionally, we don't share each individual campuses up here, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about the process and give you time to digest them and come back in 2 weeks and talk about them some more. You're going to let me off the hook that easy? Okay, here we go. I think you'll see a lot of similarities, but for instance, a campus may really want to work on math, and another campus may really want to work on reading, so you'll see some differences there. Some campuses spend a lot of time with a specific instructional practice, such as small group instruction, or they really want to spend a lot of time in their professional development on feedback. So you will see some autonomy in there, but yes, there are a lot of similar goals. You'll see some of the things that, for instance, at the secondary level, you'll probably see a lot of verbiage in there about advanced academics and the goals that we have around there, because they know that's also a district goal. So. Yes, I've got a meeting tomorrow morning. I sent some over the weekend as well. But no, that's part of the learning process with that is trying to get that clarity. One of the things that each campus spent 2 days with us in July as a leadership academy, working on their campus improvement plan and talking through those strategies. And I think that was pretty effective. And so they've got a good foothold on it and of what they want to try to accomplish this year. And so we're just kind of giving them some feedback for clarity.
Devon, I'll tell you one thing that I was very impressed with those leadership academies. You know, that was the first meeting I went to and addressed the staff and just watch Rob and his crew in action. I'm sure some of the strategies are going to look alike throughout the district, but what really impressed me between the group sessions and then the breakout sessions, they were really trying to get individual campuses, teams to really dig into their data, to really identify what this looked like on their campuses to move forward with their problem in practice. I was very impressed by that. Yes,
our principals do a very good job, and their teachers too. When they came back, they really put a lot of thought into it. So I'm excited to see what comes forward this year. All right, we'll bring it forward in 2 weeks after you've had a chance to look at them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thornell. That brings us to item 8C, and that is updates for the 2016-2017 code of conduct to reflect legal updates and standard information. Dr. Warren?
Board, I believe, well, I know you've already approved the code of conduct for the 16-17 school year, and Susie just has about 3 updates for you, and it's on our favorite subject, bathrooms. So, Susie, please.
I feel really honored to get to speak about this evening. We do have some updates to the student handbook and code of conduct. The offenses that we are recommending be removed, they are addressed in other areas, more specifically in our code of conduct. And this is a discussion and action item, as we do want to go to print and be able to release this quickly for our parents for this upcoming school year. Are there any questions?
Board, I would recommend approval.
Mr. Wright?
Move to approve the update of 2016-2017 code of conduct to reflect legal updates and standard information as recommended by the administration.
A motion has been made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Ms. Kopp. For the motion as read, is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McNeese. Dr. McNeese. Moving down to item 8D, that's a resolution declaring hazardous transportation conditions for the 2016-2017 school year. Dr. Warren.
Team, this is something you do every year to identify our hazardous transportation conditions, and it actually garners us some additional funding, and we don't get to say that very often, but it does, and so please.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Warren. I believe in your board packet tonight you'll find the resolution declaring hazardous transportation conditions for the school year. Each year we do bring this to you for your approval so that we may submit the hazardous areas to the TEA for that additional funding. This year is a little bit different. We've established a set of criteria for determining the hazardous routes in our district, and the criterion has been used by neighboring school districts. It was originally created by Safe Routes to School, and I used it whenever I worked for Keller ISD, and so I was very familiar with it. We were able to modify that slightly for our district because we do have more rural areas in a larger district, and so it has been modified a little bit, and all of our areas have gone back through that criteria process, all 23 that were submitted to y'all last school year, and they have all qualified still for the hazardous conditions this year. Additionally, we're going to add one area to it this year, so we'll have 24 areas, and the area we're adding is for Justin Elementary, and it's inside the 2-mile boundary where the students would actually walk across Farm to Market Road 407. So that area will be an additional area that we're asking for your approval for this year. And we're recommending the approval of the resolution declaring hazardous transportation conditions for the 2016-2017 school year. I'd be happy to answer any questions. We're adding the area. Yeah, so that area would now provide a bus instead of walking across 407 to get to Justin Elementary. Yeah, that has been, and it came to our attention this school year. The city did have a crossing guard, and I guess but when they're absent or they've got issues, they've had attendance problems with them, and so it has become an issue for some of our parents that live over there.
Board members?
Mr. President?
Ms. Kopp?
I move to approve a resolution declaring hazardous transportation conditions for the 2016-17 school year as recommended by the administration.
A motion has been made by Ms. Kopp, seconded by Mrs. Roush to approve the resolution as read. Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Takes us down to item number 9, reports. A is demographic report. Dr. Warren.
Team, on page 837 in your packet is the memo regarding demographic report. Tim, please.
Thank you, Dr. Warren. Members of the board, I have Bob Templeton here with us tonight, of course, familiar face in his report. Do want to point out, as he'll walk you through, we've done a little bit different look at this. We're starting to approach things a little bit differently, a little bit more detailed. So you're going to see some new graphics and some new reports, some of the same data, but mapped a little bit differently. I think it helps us be more specific to area planning instead of a district as a whole, but kind of breaking this up in chunks across the district. So I'll turn it over to Bob. presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Schluter, board members, Dr. Warren. It is very good to be here with you tonight. I will briefly touch on the economic conditions that are affecting the DFW region. We'll also talk about the housing, what we're seeing with new home development, new home construction, and then we'll get to the enrollment projections. Well, the job growth continues to be very strong across the DFW region. Specifically, the Dallas region is securing a majority of the job growth, but we are still growing about 100,000 jobs across the DFW region. That's up about 3.2%, which is well above the national rate for job growth. Also, the unemployment rates are continuing to be very strong in the DFW region. The U.S. rate is at 5.1, Texas is at 4.8, the DFW metropolitan statistical area is at 4.0, and the city of Fort Worth is at 4.2. So still very good in terms of the unemployment rates. The housing market is still also doing very well. We're seeing increase in new home construction. In fact, across DFW, we're up to about 29,562 annual starts across the DFW region, and that's up about 5,565 from the second quarter of 2015. So overall, the housing market very strong. Now, this is some of the new data that Tim mentioned. We now have access to deed transactions. So we now get a report on a regular basis that's from the county courthouses that are make up your school district, and we can see all of the transactions, which is incredible information that we're going to build a history and be able to report how many students are coming out of these houses. And what you'll notice is in 2015, we had 4,110 home sales in the Northwest School District. Roughly 25% of that was new home deed transactions. This was also very interesting. Average price for a new home in 2015 was $309,916. So the home values, home prices are continuing to go up very strong. Average sales price of an existing home is $288,073. So very strong growth in home values and in the housing market overall. Now here's the annual ranking report for closings for school districts across the DFW region. And what you'll notice is that Northwest has slipped down to about 5th. We've been about 3rd and 4th for the last several years, and you'll notice a slight subtle change that's happening is Frisco's market is going down. That is bleeding down up into Prosper. So some of Frisco's market is now gone into Prosper. So Prosper has surged up quite a bit. And you'll notice that Frisco is only doing about 2,700 annual closings. Just a couple of years ago, they were doing about 3,500, 4,000 homes a year. And so they're kind of slowing down because they're running out of lots and they're running out of land. And that is just naturally continuing to move north into Prosper. Now, the other little bit of surprise there was Louisville. So Louisville jumped up, but they're not going to be able to sustain that amount. They are going to be running out of lots within a couple of years. You can see they've only got about 2,000 vacant developed lots and 2,900 futures. So Louisville is going to drop off that list. Northwest is going to stay up in the top 5, and you're probably going to move up into the 4th, maybe even the 3rd spot, depending upon what happens between Denton and Prosper. I'd say 5 years from now, Frisco will be off that list in terms of the top 5. They'll be further down the road because you can see they've only got about 10,000 VDL and futures, and so they literally are getting closer toward their build-out. That's kind of hard to imagine because they've been such a fast growth district for so long. Now, this is the starts and closings by quarter. We've changed this graph a little bit as well. That bar graph is the annualized starts and closings. And so you can kind of see the annualized trends, and then that line through there is average inventory. Average inventory is homes that are under construction. It's also finished vacant homes and the model homes that are in the developments. And you can see we had 315 starts in the second quarter, and that's a little bit more than the second quarter of 2015. But once again, you'll notice we're on pace to do about 1,200 homes in 2016. Depending upon what happens in the third and fourth quarter, could get a little bit over 1,200, maybe close to 1,300 homes in 2016. Now, you'll remember in the past we've showed you the top 10 most active subdivisions. This now is a thematic map that does take into consideration all of the new housing activity, And what you'll notice is the red areas, the red attendance zones, they have the most annual closings, and that would be number 1 is the Beck Elementary Attendance Zone, number 2 is the Sluter Elementary Zone, number 3 is Justin. Justin has kind of surged up in the last few couple of quarters. It is the Harvest Meadows edition, but we've also seen a little surge with Avery Ranch and Riata Ridge. So those two developments are a little smaller, but they have jumped up, and we've seen a good number of new home construction in that Justin Elementary Attendance Zone. Now, the Beck Zone is starting to run out of lots and is going to be dropping off that list because they truly do not have the future land to keep that going. But the Sluter Zone is going to continue to have a high number of closings. So the reds have the most active, the orange are second, they're closing between 100 and 150, and the yellow zones are closing between 50 and 100 homes per year in the yellow, and the green is less than 50. Now, this is a thematic map based on the vacant developed lots, so this gives you the idea of where the growth is headed to, because this is where the vacant developed lots are. You'll notice number 1 in this category is the Nance Elementary Zone, number 2 is Cox, and number 3 is the Roanoke Zone. So those 3 red zones are going to be growing quite fast for the next 3 to 5 years because they do have the vacant developed lots. And here's a map of the futures. So these futures are the lots that are going to be coming within the next 3 to 7 years. Now you'll notice that the Hatfield Zone is now on that list, and there's the Traditions, there's McKelvey Ranch. Those 2 large master plan communities are what is making the Hatfield Zone turn red. Here's just a district-wide, this is the 30,000-foot view of your district. The green are the active subdivisions. The yellows are the future. You've got about 1,300, almost 1,300 annual starts that are taking place across the district. We have 2,330 vacant developed lots on the ground ready for builders to build on. So we've got almost 2 years supply of vacant developed lots. And then we've got those yellows that make up about 20,000 lots in those yellow subdivisions. So you truly are going to be growing at a very strong rate. But the other thing is it's scattered across the district. So this really gives you a good picture of where it's taking place. It's all over the district. Now here's some of the individual notes on some of the subdivisions that we're tracking. Berkshire, which is down in the Nance Elementary Zone, they've got about 276 vacant developed lots. They're building approximately 180 homes in 2016, and they could get as high as 200 homes per year in 2017. First residents are expected later in the fall of 2016, so this next fall. That price range is $275 to $350. New home prices have gone up a tremendous amount. So that's partially due from the cost of construction, so the cost of the lots, the cost of the building, but also the market is bearing that, so therefore the cost continues to move up. Harmon Ranch is in the Haslett Elementary Zone. That's one that we shifted this past year. That's about 902 total lots, 210 futures. There's 35 homes that were under construction. They've got about 195 vacant developed lots. That area is expected to build about 80 homes a year. And there's a small little piece, that southern piece, that does fall in the Eagle Mountain School District. Sendare Ranch, very large master plan community. You'll notice it kind of slowed down, but now we are watching some development that is taking place. So they are developing lots in the north, and so there's about 2,400 lots in the Sendare Ranch north section that the developer is anticipating homes on the ground in 2017. So we're going to see some increase in activity in the Thompson Elementary Attendance Zone. They expect to build about 80 to 100 homes per year. Canyon Falls, which is split between Argyle and Northwest ISD, there are about 725 lots that do fall within the Northwest School District. There's about 50 homes under construction. They hope to be building about 120 homes per year. That price range is $265,000 to $500,000, and that's in the Roanoke Elementary Attendance Zone.
Fairway Ranch is located in the Cox Elementary Zone. There is groundwork underway for about 112 additional lots that should be delivered this fall, and they're hoping to build about 60 to 70 homes per year. Not only do we get the data from Metro Studies, but we're also calling and interviewing the developers and the builders. So some of this is a mix of notes that we got from the builders. Now, the builders are usually pretty optimistic about how many homes they hope to build. But all in all, you can see from these slides that there truly is the ability to keep that 1,200 to 1,400 homes per year going because the developers are continuing to deliver new product and new developments to the district. 17 lakes. It's a total of about 752 lots. There were 9 homes under construction during the second quarter. There's about 211 lots that should be delivered this summer. And so from those new lots, they do expect some closings in October, and they're hoping to build about 60 to 80 homes per year in 2017, and that's in the Cox Elementary Attendance Zone. Back to the kind of southwestern corner of the district, here's 2 developments. Waters Bend North, 386 future lots. The groundwork is underway, should be delivering in September. There's also some lots that they hope to deliver in early 17, and they hope to build about 50 homes a year, and that's just right next to the Nance Elementary. Trails of Fossil Creek, it's about 1,039 lots with 360 future lots. There were 30 homes under construction during the second quarter. This is a brand new development. It's just off of 407, the Highlands. It's a very nice development. The price range is $400,000 to $600,000. Should be a little slower, not going real fast. There were 4 homes under construction during the second quarter. Phase 1 has 65 lots, and that's in the Justin Elementary Zone. So definitely starting to see that development pick up north, just off of 35. So they're kind of playing off of the Harvest area, because Harvest is just a little bit to the east of this location. Avalon at Argyle, it's 334 future lots. The preliminary plat is under review with the city of Argyle, but it is in the Northwest School District. That's in the Roanoke Elementary Zone. North Glen, 179 future lots. It does have an approved public utility district on site. The final plat is under review with the city of Haslett for 104 lots. The groundwork will likely start in early 2017. That's in the Haslett Elementary Attendance Zone. Caraway, 360 future lots, 200 acres being rezoned for single-family development. It's currently in the early planning stages with the city, and that's in the Haslett Zone. That could likely take 1.5 to 2 years for them to get that delivered. When they're in the platting stage, that can take several months to get it platted, and then it can take about a year to develop the streets and get the infrastructure in. So the Haslett Elementary Zone, you'll see in the projections a little bit, is going to pick up some speed in the next couple of years. Now, here's a couple of those very large master plan communities that are in the Hatfield Elementary Attendance Zone. They are starting to get a little more traction. The Tradition, it's almost 3,000 single-family lots with about 300 multifamily units. Groundwork is expected to start mid to late 2017. We've been watching this project for a long time, so it will be interesting to see if they truly do break ground in 2017. McKelvey Ranch is just to the south of that development. It's about 1,100 single-family lots. They're submitting their first plats this fall. Groundwork could be starting also in mid to late 2017. Home building could be starting in early 2019. So you can see Hatfield is really going to see a large change in their development picture in the next couple of years.
Bob, if I could interrupt. I think one of the things, Board, to keep in mind on these developments is the construction right outside our door here with 114. And that's probably been one of the biggest factors for these not breaking away and getting started. And we know that construction's set to start here in the fall. We've been in conversations with the construction group out there so that we can make our plans appropriate as they start tearing up the interchange between 114 and 156 out here. Once that project completes, which is about a 2.5-year project, I think you'll see that be the gateway to opening up a lot of this development. And we'll really start to spring that development to the east, or to the west, sorry.
This is a little bit east of there, also still just off of 114 and just to the east of that the Hatfield where we are right now. Oak Creek Trails, about 1,020 total lots. There's currently about 198 that are occupied. There's groundwork underway on 103 lots that are expected to deliver in the early part of 2017. And then they're working on a future section of about 163 lots, and that final plat has been approved. And then Fairways at Champion Circle, 531 total lots, 134 future lots. The groundwork is underway on that final phase of 134 lots that should be delivering this fall, and that's Champion's Circle. Project Blizzard, we've talked about this the last couple of quarters. It's Hillwood's mixed-use development. It's got about 275 single-family lots. But it's going to be a large amount of it is going to be retail, office, hotel, mid-rise office space. So it's going to be a mixed-use development that does have a portion of it that will be single-family. I suspect it will also be very high-end, very expensive, because it's kind of on that side, not too far from the Westlake area, and so it'll probably have a similar feel to what's going on in Westlake. Another very large development, Wellington. It's in the Schluter Elementary Attendance Zone, 1,700 single-family lots with about 1,200 multifamily units possible. Groundwork is underway on Phase 1 with 500 lots. Phase 1 delivering in April of 2017. They hope to build about 200 homes a year, so the first residents would likely hit that area in late 2017. Now, we're also tracking some multifamily projects. You've got about almost 1,500 multifamily units that are in some various stages of planning or development. We also listed that Harmon Senior Villas. It's not going to have an impact of students, but we wanted you to know about it in case you get asked questions about a multifamily project. But it's a age restricted, so it won't have any students. But those three that are listed under that one, Avondale Apartments in the Haslett, and we built that into the enrollment projections. It is about 144 units that will be leasing this fall. The Bishop Gardens in Justin, it's about 60 units. It will also be leasing by the middle of the year, the middle of the school year. And then Churchill at Champion Circle, first units leasing in September, all units complete in early 2017. So you've got about 330 of those units that are tax credited, which do tend to have a little bit higher yield of students than the market rate apartments. I'll quickly touch on the enrollment history. This is the enrollment picture. This is October snapshot enrollment history. And what you'll notice is in 2015, October of 2015, our enrollment was just a little bit under 21,000. We had 20,976. Our growth for this past year was about 5.8%. We grew 1,145 students. Our largest grade this past year was in 9th grade. And that's partially because those 9th graders pin up there just a little bit in the fall. And until they get their credits worked out, they do kind of build up a little bit. That is a high school issue at virtually all high schools in Texas. So it's not unusual for the 9th grade to be either the largest or second largest class per year. Now, one thing I would point out, the kindergarten number really didn't grow this year. So that is a phenomenon that's also happening all across the country. It is related to a slowdown in birth rates that happened during the recession. So during the recession, birth rates slowed down, household formations slowed down, and so it takes 5 years to feel that effect of a slower birth rate and a lower household formation rate. And so we are anticipating, we're seeing, because the birth rates are starting to pick back up to where we do believe your kindergarten number is going to start growing. Now, your kindergarten number also grows just because of the sheer numbers of families that are moving into the area. But virtually all of our clients did see a lower kindergarten enrollment. In fact, the state's total kindergarten enrollment was down 13,000 kids this year, and that's the first time we've seen that phenomenon in a very long time. Here's a look at the enrollment projections. We're forecasting a very similar growth rate that you experienced this year. We're forecasting about 5.4%, about 1,140 students of growth. But what you'll notice is in the next 5 years, we are kind of picking it up a little bit. And in the next 5 years, you could add 6,218 students, and that would put your enrollment in 2020 at 27,194 students. In 10 years, the district's enrollment could grow 12,762 students, and that would put your enrollment in 2025 at 33,702. Here's a look at the projections at the campus level. The green is when the enrollment gets to within 5% of the capacity of the building, and the yellow is when it exceeds the capacity. And what you'll notice is, just the highlights there, by 2018, we're going to have about 7 elementary schools that will be exceeding capacity, and the elementary enrollment by 2020 would be 12,779. So we're growing about 400 to 500 elementary students per year. So that's a little, it's not quite an elementary a year of growth, but it's pretty close to that. You'll notice that's literally about 2,000 kids of over 2,000 kids of elementary growth in 5 years. At the secondary level, we'll start at the middle schools. By 2020, all of your middle schools are going to be at capacity or exceeding capacity. By 2020, you'll have Pike Middle School, which will be right within 5%. Wilson Middle School will be within 5%. Chisholm Trail will be at about 1,400. Medlin will be at almost 1,300. And Tidwell Middle School will be at over 1,500 in 5 years. At the high schools, by 2020, Byron Nelson would have about 3,059 high school students. Eaton High School would have about 2,700, and Northwest High School would have just almost 2,000 kids at Northwest High School. I'll summarize, and I can go back and we can have some discussion or answer questions. In summary, about 25%, or 1 in 4 home sales, was for a new home in your school district. Beck Elementary Zone had the most new home closings in the last 12 months, with nearly 200 units closed. Hatfield Elementary has the most planned future lots in the Northwest School District. There's about 336 tax-credited apartment units that will be leasing this fall within the school district. There are more than 1,500 planned multifamily units within Northwest ISD at this time. This fall, Northwest ISD can expect an enrollment of more than 22,000 students, and that in 5 years, the district could see about growth of about 6,200 students in the next 5 years, and that would put your enrollment at 27,194. And in 10 years, I know that seems like a long ways away, but it'll be here before we know it, 33,702 students by the 2025 school year. Be happy to answer any questions. Yes, it is. And I'd say a majority of it is probably in the Argyle School District, as is the Canyon Falls. But it's still a sizable number of lots. It's, I can't remember it off, but it's several hundred lots that are within the Northwest School District.
Anything else, board members? Thank you, Mr. Templeton. You make me both happy and sad all at the same time.
These are good challenges. We work with districts all over the state, and some aren't growing, and we're having to figure out ways to close schools. Those are a little more painful. And these are, I think we're fortunate to be in this part of the DFW region. Good luck with the start of school. Good luck, Dr. Warren, with the start of your career. Thank you.
Brings us down to 9B. That's the June investment report. Dr. Warren.
John. This is the June investment report. We don't do a financial report for June because we wait for the audit to be concluded, and then we bring it to you in November for your all's approval once we get the audited numbers in. As me and Deanna, of course, are the district's investment officers. Just going through the report, we had 3 investments mature in June, 2 in capital projects, 1 in the general fund, and then we purchased 3 small Federal Home Loan Bank securities in capital projects for about $7.5 million. We earned about almost half an interest percent there, 50 basis points, almost 51 with rounding. And that's both good and bad. The good news is, of course, we've made a little bit more. The bad news is we're more of a borrower, to say the least, as you'll see shortly, and then we are an investor. But we did have $246 million invested. Of course, our concern on investment interest is safety and security first, and then return, liquidity even before that. We do have a little bit more diversified a portfolio than we've had in the past. CDs are now down to 39%, and at one point they were probably up to double of that. We've got some treasuries, agency bullets, as well as the standard bank deposit, which we have tied to the LIBOR rate. It gives us a better rate of return than tax pools, so we keep very little in tax pool these days. Plains is still our heaviest concentration at 25%, but we do have everything collateralized. So if a bank was to go under, that would be bad for the bank, but not for us, because we would just draw on the collateralized securities. We do have the portfolio laddered out. We have 18% overnight, 45% in the first 90 days, 23% after that, and 14% in 6 to 12 months. And so as we get money in, we try to put it out at the farthest end of the ladder to get the highest rate of return. We still exceed all benchmarks. We had $79,000 earnings for the month of June and $701,000 year to date, which wasn't too bad. Just slightly about $750,000. Be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Board members? Thank you, Mr. Graswitz. Awesome job as normal.
Thank you. Now, this is a really awesome job.
This one coming up. This report he likes.
Well, I better get this out then. Number 9C, post-processing information. Dr. Warren?
Mr. Graswitz.
Yes. And you are responsible for this, Mark, along with your cohorts. We worked with the financial team to bring forward a parameter order. It wasn't just the superintendent. I snuck that one in there, too. And you all approved the parameter order. Thank you very much. On the 19th and on the 25th, I pulled the trigger working with our financial advisor, underwriting team, and bond counsel. And we had a very, very successful result as a result of that. Essentially, we took bonds that were at 4.65% and refunded them at 2.84%. So this is like refunding your household mortgage and getting a heck of a deal, which saved the district taxpayers $14 million in cash. So essentially, the present value savings is $8,120,811. The true or net costs of total value savings is $14,048,564. And this is an 11.9% rate of return on the investment. So Jeff always tries to talk me down to something under 10, and I always say we're going to get more than 10. And so we have this running dialogue going on. There's a few references to Finding Nemo, no pressure, no pressure, pressure. So we want 10%, and we've been getting it every time. We've got a great team in place. This is just a listing of the securities that by year that were refunded in and out. I think there's a better chart coming up here in a second I'll go to. Essentially, what we did refund, of course, was 2010, 2011 bonds. Mostly 2011, 47 million of that, 20 million in 2010, $68,215,000 of bonds altogether were refunded. As you can see from the chart, way to go Brexit, the interest rates continue to decline, and so we refunded at a very, very low point on the curve, and that, in fact, it was the whole drop in interest rates as a result of that made this refunding work at this time. Essentially, one of the things that helped us was we were one of the largest Texas municipal market transactions going on at the time. We actually generated $231 million worth of orders for $68 million worth of bonds, so it was oversubscribed by 3.5 times. And this allowed our lead underwriter to come back and work the interest rates lower as a result of the oversubscription. And so they were able to knock 4 basis points and increase the district savings. There's a list of the types and companies that bought it. The largest purchaser was State Farm, and then it went on down to even Deutsche Bank Asset Management. So there were a lot of different groups. Mostly they're pension funds and things, and insurance funds. This just shows the orders that were placed by team, Bosque, Raymond James, and RBC. Bosque, of course, is our lead underwriter. Raymond James and RBC are our co-underwriters. Let me go to, well, I was looking for a different chart. I'm sorry. But essentially, I think it's, yeah, this is the chart I was really looking for. This is our 5th refunding we have done in the last 2 years. We did 3 in 2015. We did 2 now in 2016. We refunded $449 million in bonds, and we have generated savings to the taxpayers of $76 million. So that's not too bad. And that will help us a lot, quite frankly, going forward with our next bond authorization election. So it'll create a lot of capacity for us in this whole situation. So this is a report. Did another good refunding. Went really well. We probably have just about refunded out now, though. It'll be a while before anything comes due.
Board members?
Great job.
You're positioning us for our next bond election, so we appreciate you getting this.
Yeah, what we did do is try to refund bonds the farthest out to maximize the savings, and so that's been our strategy.
Thank you, Dory. Mr. Gresswich. Moving down to item 9D. I know, right? Bada bing. Secondary Education District Effectiveness Report. Dr. Warren.
Team, you have 2 reports coming up. One of the secondary, Dr. Ferris is going to give you the Secondary Education District Effectiveness Report, and then Dr. Griffin will bring the elementary education. And in your packet on page 911, it says that this also correlates with the superintendent priority goals, which got my attention quickly. So, Logan.
Welcome to the party.
Please do a good job. Thank you.
Well, always fun to follow Mr. Graswich. I like to call this the return on investment reports, starting with secondary and looking at elementary next. But we want to definitely share some great news. Anytime we work with this, as Dr. Thornell said, we keep very close vision with our strategic plans and as Dr. Warren said, with the superintendent goals. Guided K-12 with our profile of a graduate. So those are the lenses that we look through anytime we start with planning, we start with other activities, or even trying to envision what's next for our students and teachers. And so from a secondary standpoint, we live in goal number 1. That is an area that has had tremendous focus and attention, specifically with advanced academics, starting, as you can imagine, with participation and then quickly turning to leverage performance. And so we'll share some statistics for each of those. Just to give you kind of a quick overview of some of the driving factors that we use to leverage these goals that we have set is we continue at the secondary level to take from our elementary friends and work the workshop model, particularly with language arts and math, but extending that into science and social studies and other areas. This is a very effective instrument that we use, and we're continuing to train more and more secondary teachers because students bring that expectation with them as they move into secondary. And as you know, AVID has become part of our tapestry here, and we had a very successful year launching in grades 7 and 8, and are excited this year to launch with AVID in beginning AVID 1 with both 9th and a few 10th graders. So our high schools were able, with space available, to attract even some 10th graders that weren't originally on our radar, but as we had seats available, we definitely extended that offering out to them. A big part of that AVID construct is looking at WICR as an acronym that keeps us focused on the areas of writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. And you'll continue to hear more about that. But also carrying forward writing in the form of journaling, teachers not only receiving feedback through T-tests, but also giving feedback to their students, and also the continuation of the rigor, relevance, and engagement focus through the ICL training that we trained as a leadership team last year, and we'll begin really branching that out with our teachers in the classroom this year. So that's just kind of an overview of some of the building frameworks that we're using there. To dive into some data, this is an interesting longitudinal piece of information that Mr. Sipe has been collecting and developing. You see a 4-year view there. that really tracks the performance and participation of our students in advanced academics. This has a very specific focus with advanced placement coursework, but you can see there, if you follow those columns across, we see a significant increase in the numbers of exams that are being provided to our students. And that can be a little bit of that's one piece of data. Another piece of data that's not always revealed there is how many students are those, because some of those students may take upwards of 7 or 8 AP exams in a calendar year. But we move across there and we see that as we have increased with the numbers of exams, we've also increased in the percent mastery. Our target for AP performance is our students that earn a 3, 4, or 5, which puts them in a good position to receive credit from universities of their choice. And you see a nice growth in that area. But one area that really stood out to me as a bragging point is as you move across those other columns there, you see that not only are we increasing in participation, but we're also increasing in high levels of performers, where students are being recognized as AP scholars, scholars with honors, scholars with distinctions, and then also national AP scholars. And that is the number of exams they take. It's a combination, but what you would often expect as you increase performance or participation, and we continue to invite more students into advanced placement, you would expect that some students that maybe are stretching a little, that haven't experienced advanced academics, but we're seeing both an increase in participation and an increase in performance. And so that was very encouraging to see that trend continue. To kind of break that down a little further and looking at some cohorts, we see that last year's graduates, 37.5% of them graduated with at least one AP course where they scored a 3 or higher, potentially earning them credit in college. And you see that has gradually increased over the last 4 years. Another interesting way is to follow a cohort through there. So last year's senior class graduated with a total of them, 29.6 of those were earned during their senior year, and you can follow the trend down to their sophomore year. That shows a growth, but also keep in mind that in their junior and senior year, there's more AP availability for them, so there are more courses for them to take, but we still like to see that trajectory of the cohorts. If we pick up the incoming senior class for this next year, we see that they started as 12.4% of them as sophomores earning 3s or higher, and then moving in and setting the pace as juniors last year with 30.2. And then this kind of rounds everything out where you can see those progressions there. And so we're very happy with the number there, but not satisfied. And so we will continue to push the envelope with the AP placement. Mr. Sype is also working on some new metrics for us to look at where we're able to drill down and look at individual teacher performance, course performance, student performance, etc. And one of the things that really has stood out to us thus far as an opportunity is if you follow this chart, this graphic, across the x-axis you see the course grade. So you can imagine that a 5 to 6 would be an A range, B range, C range, D range, and further. And then when you follow the y-axis up, you see that the performance on the AP exam. And so if you follow across there and you see the far lower right-hand corner where we have 109 students that scored an A in a AP exam locally, but chose not to take the test. We see 243 students that scored a B locally, but chose not to take the test. So we're really drilling down and beginning to try to identify and interview those students to see why they're not choosing to participate. Is it purely a financial matter that we can remedy very easily? Or is it that they are taking multiple exams and just trying to set their spring to a very way that they can take enough tests, because some of them may not be able to manage 7 or 8 tests, and so they're picking and choosing based on major interest, etc. But this has been an interesting piece with our AP performance that has really piqued our interest and identified some students that could be potentially looked at further. Another recognition that emerged this year is that the U.S. News and World Report issues recognitions annually on the best high schools in the state of the nation, actually. This is based on our 2013-2014 data because it takes a while. This is primarily based on AP performance, and so it takes them a while to certify those scores in the summer, and then they lag behind. But we had 2 schools that broke into recognition areas, with Steele being recognized with a bronze recognition for this year, and Byron Nelson actually having a silver recognition. The metric that they use looks at a variety of things, primarily AP performance, but it also takes into consideration the percent of low SES students that you have on the campus, what our graduations rates are as they compare to national rates, as well as students being prepared for college level work, and the AP indicator is really nice there. I believe there were 6,500 plus high schools nationally that were ranked. Byron Nelson was number 1,274 nationally, so that puts them in a very competitive range nationally, and they were ranked 129th in Texas. And so when you follow that ranking, you will see that a lot of the top schools are very unique schools. They are magnet schools. They are gifted schools that draw in. And so we're starting to see even our high schools that are traditional high schools starting to break in and compete with those elite schools very well. And so we're very proud of that. With that being based on 2013-2014 data, we anticipate that we will continue to see recognitions from folks like U.S. News and World Report has come, because this does not take into consideration yet some of our most recent data that we see. So that's something nice. You'll notice our STEEL teachers have a shirt already that has the emblem on their shirt. So they are very proud of that, and we are proud with them. The other half of academics, advanced academics that we track is looking at dual credit. And here quickly you can just see a very simple graphic of enrollment. Over the last few years, we see almost a doubling of our number of students that are participating in dual credit. Carrying it further, you can see that we are entering into relationships and partnerships with multiple higher ed entities. And one that I would call to note there on the bottom is that over the last 2 years, we last year had 170 students participating in the on-ramps program through UT. So that is another opportunity that our students are taking advantage of, but we're seeing a steady increase in our students that are choosing dual credit as a form of advanced academic. This is just a quick graphic to see kind of where their choices are. Interestingly enough, the majority of our students in dual credit are taking on advanced math. So that is something that, as they are running out of classes to take because they're taking calculus earlier in their high school career, they're branching out into statistics and other areas within dual credit. And so there you also see on the first set of columns there, communications are very popular. That's pretty much a universal required core class for any major, and so that's very attractive to our students. And then you move across there, you see a distribution of what the students' interests are, and so I feel like that might be of interest to you. Another thing that we're looking at very closely is some data on one way we believe that we can continue to grow dual credit is by offering courses that are embedded in our school day taught by our staff. And so we have to meet the credentialing requirements of the higher ed, and so we're beginning to track the numbers of teachers that meet those requirements and starting to identify folks that we have that could serve as that dual credit instructor and not be dependent on students traveling to the various colleges or having them meet a certain criteria for number of students for them to come and visit with us. And so those are some pieces that we were looking at. Another simple graphic, this just really shows you that our students are most interested in AP, and a lot of that has to do with numbers of offerings. AP does not cost you anything other than the exam, and so there's some financial limits there as well, but we are seeing growth in both areas, so we're very proud of those. As we look at advanced academics, you're going to continue to see that AVID is going to help us in recruiting and preparing more students for advanced academics. That is a required piece of that. And so as in coming years and coming months, we'll continue to keep you posted on the progress of our AVID students. Last year, you see some enrollment figures there where we have a variety of middle schools that have met the 10% target that we have for student enrollment in the AVID program. And there you see that we are beginning to see a lot of our Byron, Northwest, and Eaton students are taking and carrying on that advantage, the AVID challenge as they move into high school. One of the big transitions that's always a struggle is as kids move into high school from 8th grade, we want to try to retain as many AVID students as possible, but then also beginning to reach out and attract more. And so we're excited about getting started at the high school level and look forward to those numbers growing. As we had presented earlier in the school year, another area of focus is students that are being college and career ready through CTE education. This is another glimpse. You've already seen this data of our enrollment capacity study of our academies and showing the areas that we can better recruit, but also where some areas that we're topping out, where we are meeting our capacity for those areas. And so Ms. Braswell is doing a great job in promoting those, and we're looking forward to a great year here. And as those numbers begin to fill, we will try to create ways that we can create more seats and more opportunities for them. As has been reported, but is definitely a high point for us, we had over 1,600 certifications earned this past year of our students. You can see that a lot of them there are ranked out and showed significant growth in that lower graphic. Many of them doubling and tripling in the numbers of students that are there. And so that's something that really is not anything that's necessarily new, but definitely is getting on the radar of our students and parents, and we're anxious to meet the challenge that they're having there and allowing them to have and really begin to develop their professional portfolio even when they are in high school. Another activity that we had this year is we went through and had a course guide audit to ensure that we have alignment of course offerings that aligns with the profile of the graduate, aligns with House Bill 5 endorsements, which this next year group of seniors are the last group that are not House Bill 5 committed to, and so that will kind of streamline things where we won't have two sets of graduation requirements moving forward. And then we're also wanting to be sure that we are representing all the CTE pathways, that the course guide is accurate, and that it's very accessible and easy for students to use as a planning tool. And we'll continue to work on that to make that a more effective document for our students and teachers to use. The rigor and relevance framework, as we described with ICL, this is a big part of our plans for the upcoming year. It's going to involve classroom visits, student work analysis, as well as the calibration of what our local expectations are in the areas of rigor, relevance, and framework. An interesting observation that I believe we've shared throughout the year is as some of our best teachers have helped us calibrate that, their takeaway has been, wow, what I thought was rigorous, when you look at it through this lens, maybe it wasn't as rigorous as we could have. And so it's really created a great opportunity for them to reflect and to kind of have a baseline there. But that will be something both with secondary and elementary that I think you'll see some great progress as we move forward as well. Dr. Lacefield would not let me not include fine arts participation rates because that is a very important piece. That was a focal part of our Leadership Academy a couple of weeks ago, where not only were we looking at the academic focus, but we were trying to identify who are students, what is it that they're involved in. We can stack piles and piles of data and research that shows that students that are involved in extracurricular at school perform better academically in school. And so we want to really target that. And so you can see there that at middle school fine arts, the participation rates are almost 90% across the board. It drops off a little bit with all the activities with CTE and other offerings that they have in high school, but we want to continue to maintain that. And if you look at the lower left there, you see it's kind of a small, but should have it there in front of you. It shows the growth over time for all our individual areas within fine arts. I'll go through this fairly quickly. You've seen this, but just have to note the various accomplishments that our fine arts students have had this past year. We've had multiple sweepstakes, multiple students involved with regional activity and all-state ensembles. We had 8 students that advanced to the state base, the visual arts competition, as well as students selling their artwork at the Fort Worth stock show. Our sidekicks were grand champions for 2015 for overall winners, and we showed significant increases not only in performance but in enrollment for all of our areas in fine arts, as well as we had our big show at TASB last fall, and I don't know that we're going to repeat that every year. That was quite an undertaking. Dr. Lacefield, no, one time. All right, been there, done it. We also had great activities where our students involved with fine arts have received more than $400,000 in grants over the past 8 years. And last year was the first year for an official UIL competition with cheer, and Byron Nelson and Eaton High School both had squads that were competing in the finals. And so very proud of all of our students that are involved in the fine arts. Some of our athletic statistics that we also have, you can see there that the participation rates are 37%, 41% respectively. Want to continue to drive that. One thing that I would point out that I think is probably not what most people realize or you think. Typically, you think your valedictorians are those straight academic students or potentially might be a fine arts student, but proud to say that last year both of our valedictorians were athletes, elite athletes, even having a female wrestler that was a state champion wrestler at Northwest High School that served as our valedictorian. So our students are scholars and they're athletes, and so we're very, very proud of that. We've had a variety of college signees. We've had teams advance deep into the playoffs. Very exciting this spring. We had a student that was drafted number 101. If y'all followed him, that was exciting to see that process, and to see such a young man that's venturing out into the world of athletics like that is very exciting, and he's career ready. 90-mile-an-hour fastball makes you career ready, apparently. I was not career ready, apparently. Had record numbers in the reindeer romp with our students participating and anticipating even greater participation this year. Again, an academic athletic combination. Byron Nelson softball team was ranked number 1 team GPA in the nation. And so these are all great things where we have great athletes, but they're also great academic students. We see a variety of state championships there in golf and soccer. And so, again, we have shared this already throughout the year, but we'd be remiss not to include it with us this year as well. Looking forward to building that capacity. Again, the rigor and relevance is going to be a focus that we have. It's going to drive a lot of our campus visits, as well as looking at that student work. And to kind of give you a graphic, if you've seen some of this, the C&I team has developed really a kind of a problem-solving cycle that we're going to help model for our teams at the campus level, how to attack some of the challenges that we have, where we can really start to deepen the instructional content and really give feedback to teachers that's meaningful to them and helps drive instruction even further. And so that's a big piece of what we have. And again, on the horizon, we have a continued focus on access to advanced academics as well as performance. We're going to be excited to see AVID roll out. And also, just on a final note, this year all of our secondary campuses are hosting a Kickstart camp where they are inviting rising 9th graders and rising 6th graders that will be new to their campus into math and reading camps where they are getting not only some individual instruction and a little bit of a head start on things, but definitely in introducing them to middle school and introducing them to high school and what's going to be expected of them. And I think at the end of the day, them having that level of familiarity and confidence coming into those critical transition periods is going to prove to be something that we'll probably leverage even more in the future. I'll give all of my remaining minutes to elementary education. There's probably not any. Any questions or comments? I'd be happy to entertain anything. We're very proud of our work this year.
Do you have any more data? I really like I just had a few questions, and you can probably rattle them off the top of your head.
I'll do my best.
Great. The number of teachers with master's and doctorate degrees, are those teaching master's and doctorate positions, or are those simply teachers with master's and doctorate?
That's a great question. There are varieties. Some of those are in education, where it's an educational. They may have their principal certification, et cetera, in educational administration. Some of those are in the academic areas and their content areas where we would need them to meet the credentialing requirements of the colleges. But that's also something we want to try to continue to incentivize with our staff, because my experience has shown is when they have a familiar teacher that's there with them daily, that's a part of our faculty, they tend to do better in college level classes.
So we pay about $2,000 more for a master's? Would we pay additional if they are teaching a dual credit course? Something on top of that, or do we currently have a stipend in place? A little extra? Okay. Okay. And does that count for the on-ramps? Is that also considered the dual credit? Okay.
On-ramps technically is a dual credit, in my opinion, because it's a UT Austin transcript, but currently the state reimburses us for all teacher training, and I don't believe there's a stipend associated with it currently.
Okay. I did have a question on the slide that you had the dual credit from where it was from. there was nothing, you had Dallas County, and I know, Celine, we started a number with the culinary, and was there something else? Okay, so there was nothing mentioned on here for 15-16. Were our numbers just so low that we didn't have any students get the credit, or? Okay. And then the last question is around AVID enrollment at high school. I noticed they seem kind of low with 14 and 24. I mean, I'm happy that those students are in it, but I'm just wondering, are we still allowing those students to enter if we see throughout the year maybe they have some struggles, those that were in it as an 8th grader, that they could still get in later, or is it once the school year begins, we cut it off?
No, as we have seats available, we want to continue to recruit for that. As students enter high school, one of the things we're competing against is the athletics, fine arts, having a set number of periods that they can get it. A lot of them worry about being able to do all the things they want to do and having the support course that's there. We also saw a lot of our students that left middle school AVID program this past year and were accepted into academies. And so the academy electives are taking up some of their schedule as well. And so part of what we're doing is really advertising at the middle school level as many high school credits that they can earn in 8th grade or through other accelerated avenues is going to make room for them to have it in there. But a lot of our students, with the newness of AVID, when you're choosing between athletics and AVID, I kind of fall behind the coaches at that point. We want to continue to build that culture to where we have more and more students that are there, but also that we're choosing the right students. If they're advancing into the academies and other advanced academics, they're meeting the goal that we want. We can scoop up some additional students as the year goes on to invite them there as well.
Okay. Thank you. Great job.
Not currently. Not currently. It is optional. We definitely encourage our teachers to promote that, even informally, with comments such as, when you sit for the exam in May, just kind of building that as we go. But some students are currently choosing, that's an area of interest of ours, is why are they not pursuing it? For on this? No? Yes. Let me back up to that and reference it. Okay, here. Component optional, I think that's kind of everything else as we built that. So that was, weren't able to provide everything, if that's what you're asking. Right. Some of our more popular ones are out there. We want to expand the offerings that we have there as appropriate. Steel obviously grows in some of those areas because that's kind of their niche, what they do. But we're happy with what we have there, and we want to be sure that that we are meeting their graduation requirements on the high school side of dual credit. But yes, that is kind of the other column, so to speak.
I do have a quick question, Dr. Paris. How much are the exams?
The exams, our students pay $62. We offset it a bit, but that's the student cost.
That's pretty cheap. And there's scholarships, I'm guessing, available?
There are some, yes.
Okay.
All of our high schools kind of evaluated their students, and if they had students that had the attitude and the effort but not the money, then they they found it, and I didn't ask where they found it, but they had a variety of, they had teachers that donated, to a fund to help offset that. So there's definitely something that we could look for as an opportunity there. And kind of, as I said, looking at those numbers of students that are showing to have high local performance, but aren't taking the test. Those are in my target. I'm very interested in why, and if we can cure that for them, if we can give them alternatives, we definitely want to pursue that.
Would you go back to that list of our academies? I noticed some of those abbreviations. What is the ACAH? Very good. And the COSM? Okay, makes sense. Okay, that's all the questions I had. Any other questions, board members?
All right.
Dr. Ferris, thank you for your passion, and thank you for your team putting this information together. I can tell you're excited about it, and we are too. Gets us down to number 9E, Elementary Education District Effectiveness Report. Dr. Warren.
Dr. Griffin.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Warren and board members. I don't know if it's good or bad to be one of the last to go this evening. Much of what I'll share with you, you heard a glimpse from Dr. Ferris in some of the areas where we overlap, but certainly starting with our core beliefs and our vision and mission, which you are most definitely familiar with, and particularly focusing on strategic goal number 1 as it relates to elementary education tonight and aligning that with our profile of a graduate. So at the elementary level, the key area and superintendent priority goal relates to our students being on or above grade level in reading by the time that in kindergarten through third grade, and particularly ensuring that they are ready for the advanced academics as the other superintendent priority goal whenever they reach middle school. So one of the things that you will notice if you remember when I stood in front of you last time with an elementary update, this slide hasn't changed much because our focus continues to be on early literacy, and some of the groundwork that we put in place in the last couple of years, we have maintained the groundwork and just worked to build our depth of knowledge and our depth of instruction in the classrooms through the workshop model, guided reading, small group instruction, and a number of other strategies that all of our teachers across the district in our elementary classrooms engage students in, from readers' response journals, providing feedback, our English Language Arts Academy that teachers are invited to, and then a connection between language arts and social studies when we provide them with opportunities for document-based questions, DBQs. So this year, one of the things that we really went deeper on was some of the things that we provide our teachers in helping them meet the needs of all of our students through guided reading and small group instruction. We've added to our exemplar of student work so that teachers can see what would we expect work to look like at this grade level in this particular content area, and even down to a particular standard. They can share that with their students as well and use it as a planning guide. We have videos available for teachers to really get an idea of what does a really strong guided reading lesson focused on a particular skill or concept look like, and lesson planning templates to help them plan intentionally for every student that's in a small group, as well as progress monitoring tools and training that we provide for them, as well as feedback from administrators and peers through walkthroughs. So I think you've seen some of this data at the end of the year. Our goal of our kinder through third grade students being at or above grade level in reading, we made gains in each of the areas, each of the grade levels from 2014-15 to 15-16, with first grade maintaining at that 83%, but our kinder, second, and third grade all made gains. And if you look at trends by cohort, each of the grade levels made growth in those as well. So one of the things that we've been looking at, in addition to end of the year reading levels or end of the year goals, is looking to see, are our students progressing at the rate, are all of our students progressing at the rate that we would expect them to in making a year's growth. So this is a relatively new progress monitoring tool that our teachers in K through third grade are all utilizing, and it would show if a student entered at the level that we would hope them to enter that grade level at. You'll see the dot above August for each of the grade levels, and then projecting a year's growth, where would we expect them to end at the end of the year. And then you can also see in the star looking at the average text level of each of those grade levels, which with each average text level being quite a bit higher than our end of the year goal. So with that, this past year was the first year that we really paid close attention to how every student in K through third is progressing in terms of a year's growth. So we first had to determine, well, what is a year's growth? Because not all students at a grade level come in at the same level. So let's say a second grader may enter on their DRA at the beginning of the year, may be at 20, which is where we'd expect them to be, and another one may be at a 12. So what is a year's worth of growth for students coming in at different levels? So that took a while for us to identify truly every student in K through third, we were progress monitoring to see did they or did they not meet an expected year's growth based on the numbers that we determined in the C&I department. So our baseline data shows that at least 75% of our students across all 4 grade levels made at least a year's growth. That's our baseline. So our goal for this year is certainly to exceed that in each of the grade levels. So some of the things that overlap with what Dr. Ferris shared with you in building our leadership capacity, some of our greatest days are the days that we get to meet with our principals and teacher leaders and assistant principals across all of our buildings to really look at what does teaching and learning look like across our campuses and how can we deepen our knowledge of that. So we all did participate in the rigor and relevance framework training that Dr. Ferris referenced, and all of that has led us to be able to ensure that our students, not only in early literacy as a priority goal, but in all of our content areas are making the growth that we would expect. So just a quick overview of what some of our data in 3rd through 5th grade STAR results looked like. In 3rd grade, we met or maintained, exceeded or maintained our performance from last year to this year, both in reading and math, and also in the advanced levels. Particularly pay attention to our advanced levels in each of these slides. We had some really impressive results based on our students' performance at the advanced level. In 4th grade, in each of the content areas, we grew or maintained in all of them, except you will see in writing, we had a slight dip, and that 1% dip also matched what was seen across the state. But if you'll look at our advanced results in 4th grade writing, we doubled our number of students who were performing at the advanced level, which was higher than what the trend across the state was. 5th grade as well, maintained or grew in all areas except one of the advanced areas in science. They lost a little bit of ground in advanced in science. This data is based on the 2nd round of STAR assessments, and the state has not yet released 5th grade results based on both rounds of testing, so you'll see that there's not data for the state in 5th grade in any of these graphs. So with that, looking ahead to this year, things that we're putting in place. For the first time, all of our kinder, 1st, and 2nd grade teachers who are new to the district are required to participate in 9 hours of professional development in early literacy before the first day of school. We've also invited teachers who are new to the grade level, maybe not new to the district, to participate as well. And our administrators are just beginning to read a book that's hot off the press called Visible Learning for Literacy to deepen our content knowledge and pedagogy in literacy instruction. And then Dr. Ferris referenced as well some new approaches that we're using through our principals PLC and our assistant principal PLCs, and using cohorts of administrators partnering together in learning teams and looking at teaching and learning not only in their building but in other buildings as well within their cohort throughout the year, so that ultimately our students are ready for college, ready for the global workplace, and ready for personal success. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
In the early literacy program, in training these new teachers that come in, are we also providing classroom libraries? I know we have our, campus libraries, but I know with the early literacy, it's very important that they have their own books in their rooms, and we've got a lot of new teachers coming in with very little. Are we helping them with getting those books?
We do. I think any elementary teacher will say they never have enough books in their classroom library, but we certainly do give, anytime we add a new classroom, whether it's due to growth and also whenever we have new hires. The new hires may not get new books. When we add new classrooms, we provide new books for a new classroom, but if it's a teacher replacing another teacher, then we talk a lot with our administrators of please make sure that you keep track of those books so that they're able to stay in the classroom, so that the teacher that's will be in that classroom will have an adequate set of classroom library.
Are we yearly adding to those, or is it just those that they pass on?
We add to it, and Stephanie may jump in on, go ahead. And we make a real concerted effort whenever we bring a resource that may have model texts that it recommends teachers use as a model for a lesson, that if at all possible, if we can provide them with the model text. Sometimes they'll give a list of possible texts you might use to model this particular concept, so it may not include all of them, but we try to make sure that we pair what it recommends as a model text, that they would have access to it, maybe in each classroom or a group of them within the building.
Okay. And also on the videos you mentioned, are those done by grade level or by level of teaching, like what level the child is reading on?
Those would be the...
They're by level, and there's level ranges, but they are by level.
And that's beneficial. So if you're a fourth grade teacher and you may have a group that's reading at a level that you're not typically used to having, then you can look at that video and see, well, what does it look like whenever I'm helping a student that has a particular weakness in a particular area to have that guided reading conversation.
And where are those videos? Are they through our website somewhere or on a teacher?
They're resources within the campus library. They're on TV, so the teachers can use them. They can even download them on their computers to look at later if they wish. And the lesson plan templates that also mirror those videos, and they give them suggestions and lesson ideas to go along with that level.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Board members? Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Thank you.
Awesome reports. Thank you to you and your team for your hard work on this. That brings us down to item number 10, consider any item removed from the consent agenda, and there was none. Brings us to 11, Board President's Report. Just wanted to bring your attention that convocation coming up next week at the Hills Church, 8 a.m., Thursday, August the 18th, and of course the TASB Convention coming up in September 23rd through the 25th. So please get with Jennifer back there if you haven't already told her if you're going or not, and if your spouse is going as well. We have some people in some new places today from the last meeting. Dr. McNeese back there kind of assumed a new role. Thank you for jumping in there, taking taking charge, and we have Miss Conklin over there. Took Miss Nail's place. Good to see you. Great job, as you always do. And, of course, Dr. Warren, we're happy to have you in that chair.
Well, thank you so
moving
much.
us forward.
Well, thank you so much.
Let's see, was there anything? Nope. Let's move on to the superintendent's report, item number 12. Dr. Warren.
Team, what I wanted to talk to you about, our team building activities. We need to schedule a time and schedule someone to come help facilitate our first team of 8 session. I would offer up a suggestion. You have a relationship, months-long relationship with Hazard Young Atia. They have offered to come back to the district to offer their version of the Team of 8 training. You spent a lot of time with them. They could actually, Peter Flynn, I discussed this with him a couple of weeks ago. He and his team, which would be he and Dr. Nola Wellman, could come in on September the 17th. If that was your pleasure, if you would like us to explore other vendors, TASB, TASA, there's a lot of folks who facilitate this training. So it's really our pleasure of who we'd like to invite in.
I think we already agreed that they would be the best one for the Team of 8 training. As I think we're just trying to set a date.
Okay. His best date is September the 17th. He could do the 10th.
17th look good to everybody?
I can try to make that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And we'll touch base with Ann too to make sure that's good for her. So tentatively, it looks like September the 17th.
Okay. That is a Saturday. He probably would do like a 8 to 12 or a 9 to 1 session, something like that, half day.
Mr. Schluter will probably want to do like a 5 till.
I was just thinking that. Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Schluter will not vote on that part of the training.
Anything else, Dr. Warren?
No, sir. We're done.
Thank
you, board.